While everyone else is putting together an all-nighter before exams, drowning in highlighters and caffeine, the 4.0 students have already finished their work and are probably asleep. You've been told that high grades require high suffering, but neuroscience suggests that if you're grinding 12 hours a day, you're not working hard. You're not optimizing your biological hardware. This important distinction makes all the difference. By the end of this, you'll understand the specific neurological silent mode top performers use to bypass the struggle entirely, giving you a roadmap to cut your study time in half while doubling your retention. Be ready for the high grades and welcome the new lifestyle you are about to discover. We are in this together. Most of us treat our brains like a backpack. We think that if we just keep stuffing more facts, longer study hours, and more equations into it, eventually we'll become full of knowledge. But your brain isn't ideally comparable to a container. It's more like a filter. Imagine trying to force information through a clogged filter. You just end up with information not really making it through. All you end up with is a massive headache and full of self-doubt. The 4.0 student knows something you don't. The brain doesn't learn when it's stressed. In fact, under high stress, the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for complex thought, basically hands the keys over to the amygdala, which has the intellectual capacity of a caffeinated squirrel. We've been conditioned to believe that the academic martyr is the gold standard. You know the one? The person who brags about only getting 3 hours of sleep and living off of instant noodles. We see their exhaustion as a badge of honor. But here's the honest truth. Chronic stress literally shrinks the hippocampus. That's the part of your brain responsible for forming new memories. By grinding until you're exhausted, you are physically dismantling the very machinery you need to succeed. It's like trying to sail across the ocean in a paper boat and then wondering why it keeps getting soaked and doesn't run as you expected. The issue is not the effort, it is the mode of effort. Studying hard should not feel like a suffering. If your study plan involves suffering, your brain will eventually categorize learning as a threat. Once that happens, even when you are actually trying to study, you're just sitting in a chair having a staring contest with a textbook that you already decided you hate. Our brain needs dopamine to literally do anything. Dopamine is gained from something you love to do. If your brain associates studying as not fun, even long hours won't tilt the needle. So subconsciously hating the act of studying is your primary enemy. Think of your brain like a garden. If you dump 10 gallons of water on a seedling once a week, it's never going to lead to a healthy sprout. But if you give it a cup of water every day, it thrives. The 4.0 student isn't a fire hose, they are the perfectly designed sprinkler system in every backyard. Like the plants need regular doses of right amount of water, our brains require regular doses of information it can digest and thrive on. Have you ever read a page of a textbook 5 times and realized you haven't processed a single word? The reason is simple. Your eyes are moving, but the gate is closed. Gatekeeper is too exhausted. Most students try to kick the gate down with sheer willpower, but it generally goes in vain. The high achiever doesn't kick the gate. They use a process called selective encoding. Your brain is bombarded with millions of bits of data every second. To survive, it deletes 99% of it. This is where the real fun begins. The 4.0 student knows how to trick the brain into thinking the information is a survival requirement. Crazy. I know, but hear me out. They don't ask, what is on the test? They ask, how does this connect to what I already know? Without the shot of curiosity, knowledge seeps through your mind like sand slipping through fingers. In about 5 minutes, I'm going to discuss the very important concept of golden gap, a 10-minute habit that 4.0 students do right before bed that literally automates their memory consolidation while they sleep. If you master this, you can stop going back and reviewing and start truly remembering. We're living in the age of obsession with productivity. We love the feeling of buying a new planner, color-coding our notes, and setting up an aesthetic desk. It feels like progress. We get a hit of dopamine just for planning to work. They're all good things to do, don't get me wrong. But here is the cold truth. Organization is often just procrastination in a suit if not managed with regular doses of action. If you spend 2 hours making a study aesthetic and only 20 minutes actually engaging with the material, you're not a student. You're slowly becoming an interior decorator who wonders why the GPA isn't going up quick enough. While planning and organizing is required, as I mentioned before, balance with action is very important. Fun fact is, the 4.0 student often embraces the ugly phase. They don't care if their notes look like a scribbling on a cave wall. They care about desirable difficulty. This is the neurological principle that the harder your brain has to work to retrieve a piece of information, the stronger the neural connection becomes. This does not mean your notes should look like the wall sketch of a 3-year-old. The point is, beautiful notes does not necessarily mean your brain will retain the information stronger. Many students often feel they have the desire to study hard and see excellent grades, but question, I am probably not confident enough for this. Here is the one emotional truth nobody tells you. Confidence is not a prerequisite for action. It is a byproduct of it. If you're enjoying this video, please give a thumbs up as it helps with the algorithm. Now back to the mechanics of the mind. Most students wait until they feel ready to tackle a hard subject. They wait for the motivation to strike. But motivation is a fickle match on a random dating site who ghosted you 3 months ago. Feeling ready is a myth, not only in studies but in life. No one ever feels truly ready before getting into something. I don't feel ready to make this YouTube video. I am still doing it. Just lifelike, the 4.0 student knows that the feeling of being smart comes after the feeling of being confused. That is normal and the right path to take. When you feel that friction, that brain fog or frustration when you don't understand a concept, that isn't a sign that you're failing. That is definitely not something that should affect your confidence. That is the sound of your brain's gears grinding as they shift. That friction is the learning. If it feels easy, you're probably just reviewing things you already know, which is essentially just like repainting the same wall. You're busy, but nothing new is sticking. Think of going to the gym. If the weight is easy to pick up, the muscle doesn't grow. You need the strain. The 4.0 student has learned to love the strain because they know it's the only way to get stronger. They've detached their self-worth from the confusion. With just a little bit of practice, you can do it too. Let's talk about how to do all this without overloading the biological system. Your brain has a limited working memory capacity. Based on research of human brain, it can hold about 7 pieces of information at once. When you try to multitask, like checking your phone while studying, which all of us do, you are inducing cognitive switching penalty. Every time you look at a notification, it takes your brain an average of 20 minutes to return to deep focus. You think you're just taking a 5-second break, but you're actually resetting your brain's loading bar over and over again. The 4.0 student isn't necessarily more disciplined. They are just better at environment design. They don't rely on willpower to ignore their phone. They put the phone in another room. Willpower is a limited battery. Don't waste it on things a drawer can do for you. I have talked more about it in one of my previous videos. Imagine you're trying to build a giant Jenga, but every 2 minutes, someone comes in and shakes the table and some pieces fall off. You'll eventually finish, but it'll take much longer and you'll want to scream and cry. I know I would. Stop shaking your own table. Make it easy for yourself to succeed, but you don't want to do it with long hours. Here's where everything starts to shift. If you had to move a mountain of dirt, would you rather do it with a shovel for 1 hour every day, or try to move the whole thing with your bare hands in a 24-hour frenzy once a month? The brain is a physical organ. It is really smart, but it is a wired machine that has a specific way of functioning. It needs time to synthesize proteins and build myelin sheaths around your neurons. This is just a fancy way of saying, this is how our brains form long-term memory. It cannot be rushed. That would be going against your own biology. That would be a lost battle to fight. The 4.0 student uses spaced repetition. They look at the material for a couple of hours, 4 times a week, rather than 10 hours once a week. To the outside observer, it looks like they aren't working hard. In reality, they are working with the biological clock of their synapses. Statistics show that students who use spaced repetition retain up to 50% more information with 30% less total study time. It's the closest thing to a cheat code that exists in nature for students. Know it. It is practically easy once you know this secret. Now you know it. If you think you're not a math person or not a sociology person, You're likely just someone who tried to move the mountain in one day and got discouraged when it didn't budge. You're not bad at the subject, you're just bad at the dirt-moving schedule. A little and basic rewiring changes everything. As always, it's time for me to keep my promise earlier in the video. So, what really is that golden gap habit I mentioned earlier? Neuroscience shows that your brain doesn't stop working when you close your eyes. In fact, during REM sleep, your brain is actively replaying the patterns of the day, moving information from the temporary folder to the hard drive, that is moving from short-term memory to the long-term memory. You want your information in the long-term memory. The 4.0 student exploits this through priming. Right before they go to sleep, in that 10-minute window of drowsiness, they don't scroll through TikTok. They briefly review the single most difficult concept they encountered that day. This makes a huge difference. They don't try to solve it. They just prime the brain with it. This signals to the hippocampus. This is important. Work on this while I'm out. You've probably experienced this when you wake up and suddenly understand something that was confusing the day before. That wasn't magic. This was what your brain accidentally primed and worked on during REM sleep. With understanding, we can use this in our favor. Let your brain do the night shift while your conscious memory gets the well-deserved rest. Everything we've discussed leads to today's epic realization. High achievement is not about the volume of input, it's about the quality of the neural architecture you build. This, right here, is the game changer. The quiet 4.0 students aren't geniuses by birth. We all are born with the same brain. Knowingly or unknowingly, they have become architects. They build small, sturdy bridges of understanding every single day, while everyone else is trying to jump across a canyon at the last second. They don't study for exams. They simply check in on the knowledge they've already integrated into their lives. Many good graders don't realize this. It is second nature, so they cannot even share this with you even if they wanted to. Consciously, however, they understand that the brain is a biological machine. If you treat it with respect, giving it sleep, giving it space, and giving it the right shots of curiosity, it will perform miracles for you. If you treat it like a junk box with all sorts of random facts, it will not be able to perform the way you want it to. In all honesty, success is a series of small, quiet decisions made when no one is watching. It's the decision to put the phone away, the decision to embrace the ugly phase of confusion, the decision to trust the process over the grind. Today's small win. So today's small win is to find the one hard thing you're currently avoiding and look at it for exactly 5 minutes tonight, right before you turn off the lights. Don't try to master it. Don't try to finish it. Just prime your brain with the problem and let your night shift take over. You'll be surprised at how much clearer it looks in the morning. If it worked, let me know in the comments what the topic was and how the priming experiment went. If this gave you clarity today, let me know in the comments. I go through each comment and it helps me create more videos that can benefit you. If you watch me, you'll feel calmer, clearer, and more in control. Like and subscribe for more tools to help your brain work with you, not against you. Don't miss my next video, carefully crafted to dive deeper into these and many more concepts. It'll take your results to the next level in no time. Thanks for watching.